Good morning, everyone. This is Joe Scarice. Welcome to the Creative Bird Strategies podcast this morning. Here live on Clubhouse and live on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Audible, Amazon, name it, we're there. I want to thank everybody getting in here this morning. We had a great week. We're going to be covering a lot of information this week, just in regards to updates to going into the fall. Obviously, we're going to give you some updates this morning. Today's discussion is the elevator pitch and brand strategies in real estate, which came up in my asset-based lending course yesterday, and we really took a dive into that after a 2 hour session of discussing asset-based lending. So I was really excited about the whole framework of the class where it went late yesterday. So we're gonna get rocking and rolling here in just a few minutes. I'm gonna invite some people in, do a quick invite for everybody in. But in the meantime, while I'm inviting people in, I want to thank our sponsors. As always, I'd like to thank Lendmark Capital, where I'm a senior loan analyst, providing nationwide asset-based lending and white label marketing for real estate investors and professionals nationwide. I'd like to thank MB Capital Solutions, where I'm a referral partner, where we're providing now unsecured business lines of credit for real estate professionals and business to business professionals as well throughout the country. I'd like to thank Realty 411, Miss Linda Pelagas, who provides national events and a national publication for real estate professionals and real estate investors throughout the country. I'd like to thank Real Estate Mastermind Groups, where we are now hosting events in New Jersey, PA, Delaware, Connecticut, New York. And we're going to break that all down in just a few minutes. If you'd like to come in and visit us, that'd be great. Love to have you. Let me get here soon, real quick here. So, really, this fall, we're going to be expanding quite a bit with our events, which I'm really pumped about. We are going to be in South Jersey, North Jersey, Philadelphia, Lehigh Valley, Lancaster, Harrisburg, Westport, Connecticut, Middletown, Delaware, and then we're going to be hosting a quarterly event up in Tarrytown, New York. I'm involved with a bunch of other events as well. I'm very excited about the collaboration with the Sub 2 community and the Owners Club of Sub 2, as well as Real Estate Mastermind Strategies. We are really pushing the lever with insight, education. We're rolling out a monthly white label course for individuals to learn and prosper in the broker space with white label. We are now considering trademarking the class. So that's pending. We're working on that as of tomorrow, sitting down with our trademark attorney and putting that together. We have two great events this week. We're in Philadelphia, where we're discussing women in construction Monday night. Rooftop Deck at TCS Property Management, where my real estate licenses are held. And then Wednesday night, we're up in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. We're going to have an interview with Cole Farrell of Volcano Capital. He also runs the multifamily mastery meetup in Lehigh Valley. Known Cole for quite a few years. We're going to have a mastermind chat and discuss the market specifically in the multifamily space, portfolio lending, and where he feels things are going for himself and his clients as well. So very excited about that discussion. Let's take a recap to the class yesterday for asset-based lending in Philadelphia at TCS. We had about 30 people in attendance. Very engaging course. We broke down DSCR 1 through 4, 5 through 8. We discussed 8+ units and how that would go. We talked about fixed to rent, fixed to flip, new construction, and multifamily, and also a piece of mixed use as well. Very engaged. Nobody kind of got up from their seats. We dove into, and then we discussed, obviously, coincidentally, our discussion today, which is the elevator pitch and brand strategies in real estate. And so that really kind of got our arms around one another in discussion of how to promote, how to project, how to hit the ground running in obviously brokering loans and being a correspondent of a direct private lender. So a lot of excitement, really looking forward to this relationship and where it's going. And a lot of different things came from it about different real estate professionals where AI came up, social media came up, LLC formation came up, attorneys came up, CPAs came up. It was just a big referral room as well. So I was really happy with the results. I think we had some pictures posted on Facebook and LinkedIn, so keep an eye out for those as well. But let's get updated on the market. The rates have been very flat ahead of next week's high stakes data. Rates, they've moved down. I mean, really, the base rate for conventional financing is 6.57. It's down a full almost a half a point. Um, Commercial rates, I can tell you right now, I'm announcing that we're definitely dropping a half a point in the rate this week. And why I say that, why I know that's happening, because the Fed most likely will probably drop a quarter point on the Fed in September. So commercial lending is always about a month ahead. But we're going to probably we're going to be in the sixes on DSCR. Our bridge money is now coming in around 8.99. I know the Trump administration picked a potential new individual to join the Fed with the resignment of the other Fed chair. So we'll see how that goes. Um, Weaker demand in residential mortgages right now for home buying, but you're going into the fall market. This is not a market where even if the rates came down they're down almost a full half a point. It's not going to rebound the home buyer, the consumer. They're going to stay still, and because again, you don't have a great inventory out there. You got some foreclosures rising depending on what market you're in. But I think they're going to kind of wait till 26 and see if that is a golden year for them to look and buy and get into home buying. So I think this is a true full blown investor market for the rest of the year going into 26, whether it's DSCR or fixed to rent, fixed to flip. I see a high volume of inquiry by clients I haven't talked to in years, and then new clients, and discussions. That's why we're expanding our real estate networking events pretty much anywhere from Maryland up to Connecticut at this point, out to New York, out to Pennsylvania, because there's just a high inquiry to hold these events where because people are looking for education. So that ties right back into some of the other articles that I've read this morning or this afternoon or this past week that caught my eye. Which U.S. markets are standing strong is an article that I'll be posting sometime today. The top 10 markets that are holding up best: Milwaukee, Wisconsin; Chicago, Illinois. Very surprised about that. Philadelphia, PA. So Philly is still hanging in tight. Minneapolis, Minnesota; New York, New York; Cincinnati, Ohio; Detroit, Michigan; Newark, New Jersey; Pittsburgh, PA; and Virginia Beach, Virginia. I'm in high agreement of a couple of these. A couple of them I'm not, I mean, just because of the size of the cities, they just kind of are hanging in there. What metros are cooling the fastest? Las Vegas, Nevada; Sacramento, California; Denver, Colorado; Fort Lauderdale, Florida; Orlando, Florida; San Diego, California; Miami, Florida; Seattle, Washington; Washington, D.C., Oklahoma, California. And I see no surprises here. Okay. I mean, I've been seeing video of the airports and downtown Vegas along the casinos. It's like a zombie zone. There's nobody there. The California-based cities, no big surprise. Florida's obviously leveling off heavily. DC, I mean, that's going through a whole reset. So no surprise on any of these. In Colorado, Denver, I saw that coming a couple of years ago. No big surprise there as well. High inventory, inflated pricing. So not going to see a lot of movement there. Some other articles that caught my eye. You know, did the lower mortgage rate already lower housing inventory? I think inventory is up. We've had the lowest home buying sales since 1995. We are up 10 days on days on the market from last year, this year, from last year to this year. So there's higher days on the market. Pulse on the market, a lot of the investors are taking advantage of dropping in rates and taking advantage of the inventory itself off the MLS. They're not so concerned with wholesalers or wholesaling because they feel like there's an inventory out there that they can bypass paying these assignment fees. I see a lot of wholesalers falling by the wayside. I see a lot of wholesalers becoming licensed real estate agents because they're losing revenue. So that is my thoughts so far this morning on some of the articles that caught my eye. Let me see if anything else. I mean, one other thing that caught my price my eye was home prices are down almost in 35% of the U.S. markets. That's a concerning opportunity for the real estate investor, not the home buyer just yet, because we're going into the fall and winter markets, which is traditionally a slow market. So the realtors today need to either look at opportunities to survive by property management, property maintenance, real estate investor friendly. And that is part of the elevator pitch and the brand strategies as not just a real estate agent, but as a real estate investor or a real estate professional. And we're going to dive in a little bit into the branding perspective as well. So let's start off with the elevator pitch and the brand strategies in real estate. Elevator pitch and brand strategies in real estate. We want to you have to master the elevator pitch. You got to be comfortable in your environment. What is an elevator pitch? It's a 20 to 30-second high impact introduction that creates curiosity and interest. You don't have to give the whole loaf. You give breadcrumb. Make yourself appealing for people to follow up with you. You don't have to, you're in an elevator for 20 to 30 seconds, right? Who you are, what you do, who you help, specialty or niche, target market, what makes you different? What's your value proposition? A great formula example of I help achieve by, meaning your target audience, your specific results, and your unique method or expertise. Some delivery tips: speak with confidence, energy, and clarity. Adapt to your audience, investor, seller, lender, agent. End with a natural conversation starter. You could always pose a question in the beginning. Branding for real estate professionals. Your brand is your promise. It should reflect your values and expertise and reputation. Components of a strong real estate brand: visual identity, logos, colors, fonts, consistent tone and messaging across platforms, clear positioning, specialization in markets or strategy, aligning brand with pitch. Your pitch should be a verbal expression of your brand. Your brand material should reinforce the same message. Brand growth strategies, tactics to build and amplify your brand, networking with intention. Use your elevator pitch to open doors at events, meetups, and online communities. Content marketing, share expertise those through posts, videos, and newsletters that reflect your brand's voice. Social proof and testimonials, highlight success stories that back up your brand promise. And collaborations, partnering with complementary professionals to expand reach. Consistency is king. Maintain the same branding across your business cards and website and email and social media. I can tell you for a fact, I'm constantly updating and tweaking all my social media presence on all the social media buckets. Every week, I'm reviewing, auditing, adjusting, updating, putting more posts out. You can't just think about it every once in a while. You got to be consistent and continuous with it. Interactive practice, live, do a live workshop where attendees create and refine and deliver their elevator pitch. Speak in the mirror. Peer feedback and professional critique to make sure your pitches are memorable and authentic. I have discussions with my staff, and what are they saying in front of these people to attract business? What is your elevator pitch? You have to practice and perfect. Listen, some visual messaging differences between the investor brand and the agent brand. The investor brand is bold, corporate finance oriented. Your tagline is creating wealth through real estate solutions. ROI stats, capital raise, deal close, some social proof. Networking is with investor meetups, mastermind groups, and private lenders. The agent brand, warm, welcoming, lifestyle oriented. The agent brand should be your trusted guide to buying and selling. Social proof, happy client photos, home sold. Networking is community events, open houses, chamber of commerce. Do you see the differences on the brand and the elevator pitch who you're going to after? from a real estate professional investor to the real estate agent? These are some thoughts to get rolling with the discussion this morning. Let's open it up to the rose amongst the thorns. Good morning, Amy. Welcome. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning, the elevator pitch and brand strategies in real estate.
Good morning, Joe. Thanks for having me. I am Amy Palvido. I'm the chairwoman of the U.S. PropTech Council. I'm also a tech founder, and I'm a longtime real estate investor. Been investing in real estate for this is my, oh my gosh, 17th year I've been investing in real estate. So been doing it a hot minute. So I will say, obviously, branding strategies and your elevator pitch, you're spot on. They have to align. But you are going to spend, and you kind of hit on it a little bit, on who is your ideal customer profile? Like, who are you chasing? And your messaging needs to resonate with them. So you need to, before you start any sort of branding or marketing or developing your pitch, you got to know, who is it that I want to talk to? And who is it that I'm trying to resonate with? And that might be multiple people. It might be one kind of persona. But you have to spend time kind of figuring that out, because that's going to hone all of your messaging. So, for example, if you're a real estate investor and you're trying to find people so you can generate more off-market deals, right? You're trying to find people in desperate situations or whatever it might be. So you that's your target market. Then you hone all your messaging around that. What I will say, and this is part of my half a nickel, is you can confuse a hell of a lot of people if you have like 5 ICPs, like what ideal customer profiles. If you have 5 of them, you're going to confuse everyone, especially if you're trying to do it in a centralized way with a website. Because people are going to go to your website and they're going to go, I have no idea what you do. So if you still want to do that, if you still want to chase those 5 different customers, then you need 5 different websites. You need to make sure that your messaging is spot on and it's one message, not multiple. It can be that you're this kind of person and that kind of person and that kind of person, and you want to not spend that money. But websites are cheap nowadays, and you can get AI to build you one in like 2 seconds. So it doesn't make sense why you wouldn't have 5 websites. So that would be my half nickel.
Half a nickel. Yeah. No, I mean, listen, great thought. I mean, where do you see the real estate agent going this fall with this market settling out and we're going through this reset? What are you? You're obviously talking to some agents, and you're, so what's your thought with all this? Are they doubling down with AI and social media, or are they putting their hands under their butt and praying to God? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think people I mean, ChatGPT 5 just came out, and
Yep.
it is so powerful. If you've
Great.
played with ChatGPT 5, I mean, it's amazing at the speed and what it's getting better and better. I mean, Sam Altman and his crew are doing a great job with that, and it is getting smarter and smarter, which is what AI is supposed to do. So I think, real estate agents, I think some of them are just, dipping their toes in it. But I'm telling you right now, it's AI or die. Like, if you do not become fully immersed in using AI for most of your workload, you're going to get left behind by those who do, because at the speed that they can execute, the speed that they can answer questions or put AI on their website to answer potential leads questions, or so you don't miss a call anymore, you don't miss a lead anymore, and you can have AI follow up with that lead and basically do all of your lead generation, like the first 30% or 50%. So anybody that comes to you is truly a qualified lead, right? You can have AI handle all of that. And then when they finally get to you, they're really ready to buy, and they're really ready just for you to show them houses. And so the tire kickers, you don't have to interact with them anymore, right? So is those agents that kind of embrace that and figure those systems out will be just farther ahead. And I think some of the real estate teams are looking at deploying some of these, like the big ones anywhere, EXP, Compass, all those folks, right? So they're looking at how do we make our agents more efficient, because I think everybody realizes it's a race. And the first ones that get there win. Because as soon as you get there, you're going to realize how to continuously to adopt. So if agents are sitting on their hands, they're hurting themselves. I mean, they think, oh well, it's not going to matter, and it's all going to be personal relationships. I think that's a fallacy, because people are going to get used to the level of service that AI can provide, and if you don't have that in your system, they're going to not want to wait a day for you to get back to them anymore. Like, I mean, you just got to understand what it changes on the customer service side. So yeah, so it's interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm actually considering about doubling down with my data tape, like my CRM, and start doing like 5,000 text chats with 5,000 like a week or 5,000 a month with a group that with the sub two community to start talking to my database, not just emailing them and communicating with them. I'm gonna have them do text message chatbot AI work with them and get conversations going, re-stimulate. We're gonna. I mean,
and just have the ability for an AI to, when you're doing this, if you're going to do that massive chat button, have an AI that's monitoring those chats so you can look for themes.
Yeah.
And you can look for insights, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, well, it's definitely for more appointment setting at first, but then it'll be more with update with inventory. So I'm gonna sit down with the guys that I work with at Sub Two, and then obviously identify a couple realtors in Jersey and and the Pennsylvania market to team up with to then go after that, because I can't do all that. That's numerically impossible. So just because what if you hit 5,000 people in 1 month and you get 500 inquiries back? You can't. There's no way you could reach out to all those people.
Right.
So I gotta monetize it in a certain way. So I look forward to that opportunity, but very excited about where. Yeah, I agree with you. The Chat GPT, I'm probably putting out more content per week than I've ever done before. I probably have put together more blog article updates to be posted along with updates to marketing than I've ever done before. If you have the right Google team, you should have no problem, like a Filipino team or a team in India that knows how to post and hit all the right buckets, and you have your social media platform is balanced with good website follow through. I mean, right now we're going through an update on our podcast website where we're going to be, because my event link to all our events is on my personal website, but we want to add that to the podcast, and then we want to do some more updates to the actual physical, some more updates to video work and things of that nature. So we're going through a whole revamp right now to make sure we're staying ahead of the game, not running behind. So Yordell and I have meetings week to week, and we just moved our offices too. So we're going to be more in center city of Philadelphia, because the facility where we're going to be starting a new office after Labor Day just is more up to date. It's the other place was just not. It was okay, but it wasn't going to take us to the next step. So, and then expanding all these events that we're getting into. Now we're in Central PA. We're going to be in New York. I mean, there's only so many. There's only so much time in the day. You have to be extremely calculated with your brand, because again, like what Amy's saying, you have to follow up with everybody. Communication is so key to your brand. Is so key. It's the most important thing. Your brand purpose, right? What is your goal? Your goal is to position yourself as a problem solver who acquires and improves and profits from properties while creating opportunities for partners, sellers, and lenders. What should your message be like? I find and create real estate opportunities that generate long-term wealth and win-win deals. What's the real estate agent brand? To position yourself as a trusted market expert who guides buyers and sellers through transactions. Now, if you want to add white label to that and offer investor lending, Now I offer direct private lending to my clients as a real estate investor friendly agent. DSCR, fixed to rent, fixed to flip, new construction, multifamily, and more. Let's talk about this. Who's your target audience for the next 3 months and going into the final quarter of this year? It's going to be sellers in distress, other investors, private lenders, contractors, business partners. When's the last time you sat down and had a one-on-one with a property manager? That's where your off-market deals are. The tired landlord. Bob, good morning. Welcome. Brief overview of who you are, what you do. Thoughts to our discussion, the elevator pitch, and brand strategies in real estate.
Hey, good morning. I'm Bob Chesick with Chespin Corporation. I help people set up LLCs and corporations. I'm not here to give legal advice. What I'm going to kind of pivot this just ever so slightly. I think of the elevator pitch and brand strategies, more on the brand strategy side. One thing that I've seen a lot of people struggle with, and I've seen this a lot with real estate agents, particularly, but also just other business owners in general. And I wrote articles about this in the past, and I think I need to revamp them and put them up on our website, some refreshed versions. Personal branding versus business branding. That's something I've noticed that a lot of people get confused and cross over with. So let me explain. The elevator pitch, I think we're covering that perfectly here, and other people will probably explain that far more eloquently than I ever could. But when you are going out to explain what it is you do, a lot of people, particularly entrepreneurs, can sometimes get confused or cross over between what is your personal brand and marketing strategy versus what is your business's marketing strategy. Now, for a one-person operation who's running their own startup and probably won't have anyone working for them, the two are basically going to be one and the same. But if you're working for another organization, or you're managing a larger organization, or even multiple organizations, because we do have multipreneurs in the room, one of the things you got to look at is, what is it that you personally, what is your brand? What is it that you bring to the table to this organization or to these organizations in which you're doing? And then the other branding being, what is it that the organization, either the corporation or LLC, in and of itself does? Now, let me give an example, because I see that the largest kind of abuses of this are on LinkedIn. Back in 2019, I took a part-time sales job, and it was a cold calling job. And part of the reason I took it is because I'm not a good cold caller. And I thought this is a great way to get some continuing education on somebody else's dime. Oops, did I say that out loud? But the point being, they had it during the first week, and this job lasted 3 weeks, and I walked out on it. They said, well, you have to have a meeting with our marketing strategist, because they have to explain things. And the first thing out of their mouth is, I need your LinkedIn password. And I said, why? And they go, well, we're going to redo your LinkedIn page. And I flat out told them no. And of course, that started the tensions with the organization, because what they wanted to do was completely rewrite my LinkedIn page, which of course included what I do in my own business. And to remind you folks, this is a part-time job that we're talking about. They wanted to rewrite the whole thing to be a sales pitch, not for their company, but for the company that I was doing the cold calling for. And they said, well, that's part of the contract we have with them. Now, they never explained any of this to me, of course, when they were trying to onboard me. This came completely blindsided. But the point is that if you look on LinkedIn, you'll see a lot of LinkedIn profiles are nothing more than advertisements for the company that the person works for, and the posts coming out are largely scripted by the employer. Now, what that does is that completely overwrites your personal brand and your personal marketing strategies versus an organization which is essentially turning you into their own spokesperson. Now, depending on what you're talking about, if you're someone who is plugged into a larger organization, does that make sense? Possibly. But if you're, say, a realtor who might change companies someday, and now the company you're working for is going to try to claim intellectual property to everything on your LinkedIn profile, you've got a problem. Because what if they come back and say, oh, well, as part of your contract with us, now you have to wipe out all your connections and start a new profile? I actually have heard of people where that's happened. I've seen that happen with real estate agents in particular. When they switch from one brand to another, there are some of the local offices will, if you give them control of your LinkedIn profile, they'll just wipe it out on you and take control of it, and now you got to start from scratch. So the point being, when you're doing your branding strategy, think of you have to think of both who you are and what you bring to the table, and then also separately the branding for your organization or your business or your product. And remember the old line from Ghostbusters when they were going around blowing up the ballroom trying to catch Slimer. Egon looks at the group and says, "Don't cross the streams." So be careful when you're doing your branding strategy. Just remember that there is a difference between who you are and what you do. Joe, I yield back to you.
Thank you, Bob. And that ties into AI, with we were just talking with Amy about ChatGPT or any of the other AI tools. I have made sure that if one company or another goes away, all I got to do is replace the logo, and I'm still on the same cruise control. You should control your name and domain. Everybody yesterday at the class, who owns their name? And they're like looking at me like, what are you, crazy? I said, I own josephvscarice.com. I bought it for the next 5 years. Okay. I'm Joseph at josephvscarice.com. Yeah, I'm also jscarice at lenmark.com. But control your brand. Control who you are online. That's the biggest value in anything, but in real estate, that's everything. Like, how do you not have your name controlled? Why are you depending on a company email to survive? That is the silliest thing I've ever seen in my career. Who says that company won't be here next year? What if you turn on the computer, it's not there the next day? What happens with you? What happens with your email? What happens with your brand? What is your brand? You got to figure out what your core offer is, whether you're the investor, the agent, or both, right? You have to understand strategy. You got to understand content. When's the last time you looked at your Facebook profile and updated the content within the profile? Same with LinkedIn, Instagram, X, YouTube, TikTok, Google. Do you have a Google business profile? All this is important to elevator pitch and your brand and your strategy in real estate. Simple to the point. On my LinkedIn, nationwide asset-based lender, DSCR, fixed to flip, ground up, construction, bridge, portfolio, multifamily, real estate investor, podcaster, connector, real estate agent. Done. Done. Keep it simple, precise. There's no way around what I don't do or what I do. This is a consistent theme on every one of my profiles. It's like the billboard technique. The more billboards with the same consistent information, the more information will sink in somebody's head. Who you are, what you do, and what is your why, and how you can help one another. Very, very important. It's credibility and proof in the pudding. It's about being a problem solver and creating opportunities and creating deals. Your brand is about guiding clients or investors and delivering service. Every individual that came to my class yesterday got an email on the overview of our portfolio, what we do at Lenmark. They got how to do a write-up on DSCR. They got to do a write-up on fixed to rent, fixed to flip. They got the two examples we put together. They have another referral partnership with unsecured business lines of credit. They had it within 60 minutes of the class completion. It's the follow-up and the follow-through. Felix, good morning and welcome. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts or discussion. The elevator pitch and brand strategies in real estate.
Felix Buchanan Sr., Buchanan Biz Enterprises, the JLix Group, and team leader of Keller Williams Legacy Team. Um, when it comes to elevator pitch, it's super important. It's so funny that yesterday in our responsible marketing class, yesterday morning, we were talking about that people's attention span die in 8 seconds. And we literally was just having this discussion on you got to be quick. Before, the elevator pitch used to be like 2 minute pitch. Now it went down to 30 seconds and possibly even 10 seconds, depending on who you have the opportunity to speak to. It definitely ties into your brand strategies because of the fact that whatever it is that you're pitching to that person, it has to coincide with what your brand is. Amy mentioned the ideal customer, which I'm very familiar with because of Russell Brunson, and just between reading .com secrets and expert secrets, uh, that's the most key component. Just making sure that your brand is consistent all the way around with whatever it is that you're doing, because you don't want that someone comes on and they see this aspect of your brand in one way, and then they see another aspect of your brand, because any clients that come on, whether it's your website or they're looking at your information, if they are confused, they're going to say no. It has to be very specific. It has to be very detailed as to what it is that you're providing within your brand, so that people can clearly see and identify with whatever it is that you are putting out there. Because if, for example, like on my website, when I was doing it with my responsible marketer, and he was just like, because I have real estate debt securitization and funding on my website, he's like, somebody could get on there and get confused. So how we tailored that when he got on was, they'll go through each and click and get sent to a funnel specifically for that thing, so that whatever it is that they might get onto my website and look for, when they click on that particular thing, it's just going to give them the consistent information about that one thing and how they can gain more information on it. So elevator pitches need to be tight, need to be ready, practiced, so that when you run into that person, whomever it may be, you just never know where you could see that person that you like, man, if I just had 2 minutes with them, you just never know when that 2 minutes can happen. And you just want to be prepared. And as I said before, just make sure your brand strategy is very clear, very concise, direct, and straight to the point. That's my wisdom and knowledge for today.
Thank you, Mr. Felix. I always appreciate your insight and presence here, as always. I am also going to see you, hopefully, I think it's the 20. Well, no, it's not the 22nd. She moved it to the 29th. Oh, no, yeah, the potluck. There's a potluck event down in Baltimore. She moved the date, though. Take a look at it. I'll text it to you, okay?
Perfect. Thank
Yeah,
you.
she did change that Friday night thing to I think it's to a Saturday. It's at barbecue. But what Felix is saying is the dual brand strategy as a real estate investor and agent, right? How do you do it, right? You got a brand architect. You got to kind of like talk about your professional identity, investor lane and agent lane, right? You gotta bring core promises in the tone and a call to action on both. You got to look at what your target audience is. If you're going to be more investor driven, which I would suggest for the fall market if you're a licensed agent, because I think home buying is completely flat right now, is, maybe that Chamber of Commerce event is not as smart to go to. Maybe it's better to go to investor events and networking events such as that and just look at the buyer and seller component in that space. Because if it's a seller, they're flipping. And that might help you with some first time home buying listings. The visual identity, a cohesive look, shared content, some video collaboration, some tips of the trade, very important. Also, keep separate email lists in this if you're going to still tie into the home buyer as well. Obviously, you got to be concerned about compliance and ethics, the networking strategy, what lanes you want to, what type of events you want to be at and present and to work, and capturing more opportunities playing that dual brand. But now let's up it a little bit. Let's look at a three-lane brand strategy. Let's look at being a real estate investor, being an agent, and a direct private lender. A same thing with the brand architecture, who you are in the investor lane, who you are in the agent lane, and how it ties into potentially non-QM or direct private lending, right? What's your core message in each lane? You don't want to make it. You want it to have, you want it to have synergy. And what's the visual identity? What's your marketing channels? If I'm going to focus in those three lanes, it's investor 100%. It's all pulp, no juice, right? The email lists are very hyper focused toward investing, and the cross brand synergy is there. Be concerned with some compliance and ethics, and always have integrity, of course, and some sample taglines. Your trusted partner in real estate: buy, sell, invest, and fund. Maybe the investor lane, turning opportunities into assets. How about the agent lane? Your guide to real estate success. The lender lane, fast, flexible capital for real estate investors. By positioning yourself as a three-in-one resource, potentially you're the deal creator, the investor, the deal facilitator, the agent, and the deal funder as the lender. You maximize lead conversion, diversifying income streams, and dominating your market presence. So I could tell you I'm a little weaker in the real estate agent space, but I might identify a team to back me up on that and see how that looks like. Uh, Still debating if that's going to be something I want to really focus on in any capacity. Not really worried about agent competition. I feel like the only competition you have in this market is yourself in the mirror. But it's something to consider if you're going to try to play that three-prong approach in the space right now to create revenue stream. So again, you have to be then you got to be very consistent. You got to be very transparent with people, and your communication skills have to be at 105% always. There's no time to be laxadates. And you gotta dress the part. You can't be sloppy. You gotta look neat, you gotta look clean, you gotta look fresh. I'm not saying everybody needs to shave their head and have a bald head, no bed head, but it does help me in some days when, you know, it's a long day for that matter. Stephen, good morning and welcome. Thank you for your patience. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion, the elevator pitch and brand strategies in real estate.
Hey, good morning, Joe. Good morning, everybody. And it's funny someone mentioned compliance and so forth. As someone who does a bunch of things, and I spent the last week while I've been traveling on refining REI homepages, the place people go, and then there's buttons for Gorilla Real Estate, buttons for everything. So if I got 5 seconds, it's REI homepage. I'm an investor, I'm a buyer, I do brokering, I do wholesaling, and it does get confusing. So I'm kind of bringing REI homepage as almost like the menu item for everything. And along with that becomes an interesting thing in compliance, because if you have a single CRM driving everything, with different messaging, whatever, well, then the TCPI, whatever, with the texting and emailing technology, they want to have you registered and don't want to know. And so that's why our homepage is kind of taking that over. And also along with that, I warn anybody that's using any kind of automation for your communications, I wasn't watching mine for a while, and apparently it was sending messages and it wasn't stopping when it should have, and I got violated and shut down. We're in the process of fixing all that and whatever. So don't bite off more than you can chew, or don't bite off more than your team can chew, and definitely team out a lot of this. But really, for me, the biggest message is the personal branding versus the business branding, because for me, I look at our homepage. I own Call Steve Franco, I own some other domains, but the homepage is sort of, that's the me, and then you want a piece of me, here are the different websites, the Gorilla Real Estate, the this, the that, the other thing. Because A, it helps people understand a single place to go, at least that's my theory. But also, if they just want to talk to one of my agents, they want to buy and sell a house, Gorilla Real Estate is for them. If they're in motivated seller mode or a wholesale mode, one of the Honey for Homes or the other brand is for them. So, it's easy for me to say, well, if you want to find out anything about me, here I am. And then if you want to work with me in this capacity, here's the direct place for that. You want lending, you want education, you want this. So it's important, and I'm re-beginning this process. This is something I used to do for clients years ago, but I'm beginning it for now to say, how do I simplify it? What can I put on one business card that gives a quick 5-second answer to people? And that's how I'm doing REI homepage as me, basically the center point. than each other brand. And make sure you can keep up with keeping an eye on everything. Because you'll drift, the market will drift, and if you don't keep an eye on them, they won't follow.
Thank you, Steve. This leads into Amy. You want to add something?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, exactly what Steve. So the market does drift, and you need to, when you're building your brand strategies or whatever it might be, you need to be able to monitor them and test your messaging. And if you're not doing that, you're just throwing money away. Like, you need to be able to see what's working, what's not working. And if you don't have an ability to do that, then all the effort that you just spent to create whatever website or create whatever messaging you just did is worthless, because you have no way to monitor if it's working or not. So that was my other hypothetical. And if I could jump in and follow that, the other thing, and I learned this the hard way with one of my divisions, is if it's great to hire a team leader who is your staff person, who is your tech person, whatever. But if they're not empowered with the ability to adjust, and if they're not motivated based on, in a lot of cases, a percentage to adjust, like one of my partners in one of my sections isn't really that creative as to saying, oh, well, we're drifting from the market. Here's how I suggest we change it. If you don't have the time, if you're doing too many things and you don't have the time to look in and you're the one steering that ship, even at the low level, not the super top level, that person you put there has to be, your job is to keep us ahead of the game. Walmart, the Walton family is involved at a super high level, but they have staff in place, and that staff is there, and their job is to look where things are going and refer only to the family when necessary. If you have an operation that's that busy and you can't be the everything, that person you put at the top of your brokerage, that person you put at the top of your whatever, they have to be empowered, creative enough, and motivated to not just go in and punch the clock and do their jobs. That's not $5 an hour position, $20 an hour position. That's something where they're incentivized to make it better.
Thank you to you both Amy and Steve, on that, because you have to lessen the confusion, and confusion can cost money, right? So you could spend a lot of money on different marketing techniques and just bounce a ball off the wall and hit yourself back in the head. So if you want to lessen confusion, the key is to make your brand hierarchy crystal clear so people instantly know which role you're in for them without having to guess. I don't want to have to guess what you do. Get to the point. Lead with a master brand. Keep a solid logo, a color scheme, a professional photo that's recent or near recent across everything to people, so people recognize who you are, and how do you matter to them in their lane from when you meet them. Clarify roles with simple taglines, whether it's something on your jacket or your shirt when you go to another networking event. Joseph V. Scarice, direct private lender. That's to the point, don't you think? Right? You could buy a tag at Staples and have that on for you forever. Create one clear website hub, or sell hubs that make sense to your lanes. Okay? Invest, buy, sell, funding. Segment your marketing. Email list, social media, events. Like I'll give you a great example. I've been wanting to get into the Lancaster market and the Harrisburg market. For whatever reason, the organizations that hold events there, I don't know. I just can't get inside there to do presentations. So guess what? I'm holding my own events. I'm creating my own brand there. I'm going to invite my own audience. I'm just going to go around, right? I want to be in Delaware, so we're holding an event in Delaware. I want to be in Connecticut, so I'm pitching a flag in Connecticut. I want to be in that Westchester, area going out toward New York State. So I'm going to have something quarterly in Tarrytown, New York. I want to be in Lehigh Valley. I hold my own event there. I don't wait for others. You got to create your brand. You got to be aggressive. You got to be you got to be a savage, right? You got to also Create intake forms on your site where people want to make inquiries. Minimize confusion before conversation even starts. Keep the cross-selling intentional. Don't try to sell multiple services at the same time. Just go in with one and say, hey, by the way, I'm also a licensed real estate agent. I'm also a meetup holder and investor. I hold events in regards to investors as well. Making you the anchor and clearly labeling the hat you're wearing in each interaction. You can work a 3-lane feed or 2-lane feed into one trusted identity, but your messaging has to stay lane specific for clarity. I think people get a little thrown off by audiences. We're not all natural born extroverts. A lot of us came out of a very introverted lifestyle growing up. It's tough for some people, but I have no problem walking up to somebody that I don't know, say, hi, how are you? My name is Joe Scarice. I'm a direct private lender, an investor, agent in the local markets. How can we work together and what do you do? What's the worst thing that happens? I'm not asking them on a date. I'm just asking them to work together, potentially have some synergy, collaborate. Can I make an introduction for you? Is there somebody here that you haven't met yet that might impact your bottom line? Say it's smooth. Say it's sincere. Don't be over passionate. Just be passionate about being comfortable in your skin. Do some video work, practice. You can edit them. That's the beauty of AI. That's the beauty of all the things that Amy talks about on her podcast, right? If you make a mistake on a video, do it again. If you make another mistake, do it again. But if you don't even start, you're not even there. You're not even at the starting line. But there's nothing wrong with still doing follow-up conversations with people you haven't talked to in a bit, or going to a networking event related to whatever you're trying to accomplish in your lane as an agent, investor, lender, whatever you are. 2 times a week. Like I asked the room of 30 people, who's going to 2 events a week? Nobody raised their hand. How are you networking if you're not going to 2 events a week? It's numerically impossible. You can't just depend on social media. Your brand and your pitch is so important because if you're meeting these people online and then you get to meet them in person and you don't match up, you just lost that potential business. Steve, you have something to add?
Yeah, very quickly, and I think it's also important for people like you and I discussed last week. Should I restart the meetings? Does that benefit me? If I'm going to go to events, which ones do I go to? And also a huge balance there, just follow up on what you said, is pick how you use your time carefully. I am getting into self-storage. There's a lot of training my team offers and everything. There's a lot of this, a lot of opportunity, a lot of opportunity. Okay, well, if you go to a lot of training, that's wonderful. But if all you do is go to training, you're not getting any closer to that purchase. If all you do is go to meetup events and you don't follow up these people and have actual technical conversations, that's great. You just paid $30 for a rubber chicken dinner, and you didn't get anywhere. And maybe depending on your cycle, Joe's a great team behind him, so he can go to a lot of events. If you don't have a great team behind you, you have to say, okay, I can go to 2 events, because if I go to 4, I don't have the time to follow up that information with action. And if you're not following up with action, I'm certainly I made that mistake a lot. You're not getting that. So pick it. Is it a lot of education this week? Is it a lot of actionable meetings this week? Is it starting a meeting this week? What is it?
Thank you, Steve. And that ties into if you don't feel comfortable going by yourself to an event, ask somebody to come with you, right? My wife, love her to death. She is just not an extrovert when it regards to events. I have no problem going with her to an event if she needs me to come. And I'll be introducing her to just about everybody, leveraging her to get me out of a conversation to get to the next person. But hosting events, does that assist you in your brand? Does that help you in your elevator pitch? 110%. It establishes you as a market authority. It builds trust faster than marketing alone. It creates brand content that keeps working. It positions you in multiple lanes. You're bringing a speaker in, you're being an interviewer, You might be filming it and then editing it for future marketing techniques. You're marketing the facility where you're hosting it. You might be able to co-sponsor or collaborate with other professionals within your network. It positions you in so many different ways and expands your network exponentially. It creates perceived scarcity and exclusivity and long-term brand benefits. It can help you map out an event to brand funnel that shows exactly how one networking education event or a consistent one can generate leads, clients, deals, all in the same room without overwhelming people with a mixed message. That's where events become a brand amplifier, not just a one night marketing push. Most podcasts, on average, last 10 podcasts. When somebody starts a podcast, they do up to 10 and then they stop. Amy, how many podcasts have you completed?
Well, I have 3 of them, and my average, I'm on, let's see, on Project Genius, I'm at episode 72. On the Data Center News Show, I'm on episode 23. And on the Real Estate Morning News Show, I'm on episode 40 something.
There you go. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Thank you, Amy. Excellent. Felix, some final thoughts to our discussion, the elevator pitch and brand strategies in real estate.
It would just be like I said previously, make sure that your message is clear, concise. Make sure that your branding is consistent. And that's about it for me.
Thank you, Felix. As always, and I'll text you in a few minutes. And Bob, your final thoughts of wisdom in regards to effective elevator pitch and brand strategies in real estate.
I think everybody had some wonderful points here, and like I said, thinking about it as far as an elevator pitch goes, as Joe said, it's as simple as just quick bullet points. If you can't explain who you are and what you do in 20 seconds or less, you're probably going to lose that person's attention span. Now I'm hearing that we're down to 8 seconds of attention span, but nonetheless, if you can get someone's attention in 20 seconds, you can probably hold them for a conversation for 5 minutes. And remember, don't let anyone take over your brand or run your brand. You are your brand, and you have the right to brand your business the way you see fit if you own your business. One thought I had that when we were going around talking about the email address and everything, one thing to kind of put a counterpoint on with what you said, Joe, and you're absolutely right. In fact, I sometimes look, it's like, how many email addresses do I have for you, Joe? But I have to remember, certain, like if we're talking about a lending thing, I have to send it to the one email, but if anything else, I send to the other email. The reason some people have asked me why I just have my one email, bob@chespin.com. And the reason is that I've had that email address since 1998. So while I do have a personal email address for stuff that's irrelevant, in my case, being a half owner of the business, and having had that email address since I was in 11th grade, it's just, in that sense, it kind of became more of a convenience or a comfort factor, but I do own the business. So in that case, using the same one for everything just makes sense. But again, I still have a backup one that very few people know about, just in case I have a reason to keep something out of the business flow. But if you're working for another company that controls that email address, if they can control that email, those who give it, let's just put it this way, those who give it can also take it, and they can take everything with it. So don't forget that. But nothing I said was intended as legal advice. And thank you again for the room, Joe, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob, as always. So my final thoughts to this discussion this morning on the elevator pitch and brand strategies in real estate. There's consistency and continuity what makes your elevator pitch and your real estate brand stick in people's mind, especially when there's multiple hats as an investor or an agent or private lender. Without them, your brand feels and your elevator pitch could feel scattered. With them, you need to build instant recognition, trust, and authority. Same look, feel, voice everywhere. The story never changes. There should be a rhythm, a digital presence that ties back, a cross-pollination without the confusion. Bottom line, the elevator pitch and your brand needs to get recognized. It needs to be remembered. Together, they will transform a person in real estate from a real estate authority in your market. I want to thank our sponsors, as always, Perkatech with Yardell Perkins, the backbone to this entire podcast and website design, everything. I want to thank Lenmark Capital, where I'm a senior credit relationship manager, providing a nationwide asset-based lending throughout the country. MB Capital Solutions, Realty 4-in-1, of course, Real Estate Mastermind Strategies, and then obviously where my licenses are held in real estate, TCS Property Management and Realty Solutions of South Jersey. And if you need to host an event and you want something unique, the asset-based lending course and underwriting and white label marketing is there for you. If you want to host one, I'd be more than happy to fly out, attend, market, prosper, hopefully build a whole relationship for people for you and build out. We're here every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, providing education, networking, and strategy. And my final quote this morning, which I always like to do once we're here and there. You want to change your life? Change the way you think. Everybody have a blessed week. We'll see you next Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I will be ending the room in the next 30 seconds. Thank you.